Voltron Network.
What's up, guys, and welcome to the DC versus Marvel podcast, where we talk about the latest DC and Marvel movie news. My name is Uz, and I'm your regular DC fanboy. Once again, in the red corner, representing Marvel Comics is my boy Ed, and also Star Wars as well today.
Yes, definitely. Anime
Star
stuff.
Wars.
Yeah.
Anime Star Wars. Yeah, anime Star Wars, man.
What's
So,
good,
um,
Uz? How you been?
it's all good, man. It's all good. Have you seen the audiobook on, well, not seen, have you heard the audiobook on Audible? They've made an audiobook of Star Wars Visions, the
Yes, I
Japanese
just
one.
saw that the other day, and I've added it into my library favorites.
Wish list. Yeah,
I'm gonna, yeah. I'm gonna grab that one because that was my favorite story out of all of them. That samurai Ronin story. So yeah, it surprised me when I saw it. I'm like, okay, I can take this. I want more of this.
So that's the same thing. I'll put this in my wish list as well. So me and Ed will review that at some point in the future, because it's like 9 hours long. So so once we've actually listened to it, then yeah. So that'll be good, man. So guys, today we're gonna be talking about some Spider-Man No Way Home, talking about Batgirl, Boba Fett, Peacemaker. We're gonna be talking to Superman and Lois there as well. Anticipation for Moon Knight as well, because Moon Knight is coming. Trailer is coming on Monday. The costume looks pretty decent and stuff there as well. And also getting into some viewers' comments there as well, man. So dude, the Spider-Man No Way Home seems to have confounded like all of the kind of ideas of the pandemic and everything, man, and it's made 1.5 billion without China.
Bizarre. The little train that could. The world shut down. Who cares? Can't stop Spider-Man. Somehow, some way. Well, yeah, it is kind of nuts that it's even without China that it can still get to those sort of numbers. So what would it have been if China had watched it?
Damn. It's kind of mad because when you look at it, it seems like so basically what I read in this Deadline article is saying that it's only Spider-Man No Way Home that seems to have kind of like bucked the trend. Like all the cinema going stuff is like, deep below what it usually is.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man, it seems to just people just come out for that and that kind of only. And that's all, kind of buck the trend of the of the other movies. So
it's a combination, isn't it, of that consistent storytelling of building up this universe that Marvel have done, but also on top of that, you've got the nostalgia of the other stuff. Like, come on, who's watching this that hasn't watched it yet? Everyone has, so we can get into the spoilers of it. Yeah, the nostalgia of seeing all of these former iterations of Spider-Man brought back. For us, we were still adults really at the time when they came out, but for a lot of people, they were children. These were their like films they were watching when they were like 5, 6, 10 years old. So for them, it's that added magic, and it just appeals to so many people. Just that broad range. So
man. And it's so well, that's the thing, man. Because now it's interesting because this kind of comes around the comments that Ben Affleck was making there as well, where he's saying like all the films that are going to be coming out now are going to be like event films and attached to an IP or whatever, and he's not really into that kind of thing there, but he sees that kind of all the films are going to be like that. I got to say, like, I thought it was going to be the other way around. I honestly thought, like, with all the streaming stuff and all the HBO Max and all that, I kind of thought it was going to be the other way around. That basically the stuff that was going to be in the cinemas was you're going to get more like fringe stuff turning up and things like that people wouldn't usually watch. And it's like, okay, now there's an opportunity for that because everybody's at home watching on the film. But it seems to go the other way, where it's like everybody wants that event kind of thing.
Yeah, right? People want that reason. It's like they want that reason to go out and hang with their friends and go to the cinemas. Like, it has to be something special rather than a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, because people aren't really gonna feel enough to justify, even though the films are great. They're not gonna justify. Am I mixing up my Andersons? I might be, but to justify them going.
Paul W.S. Anderson. He's the Resident Evil guy, right?
I think that's W.
W.S. Anderson. Yeah. The other guy is the what's it called? That submarine thing with
the guy that did Oh my
with
god,
Bill Murray.
yeah, I'm
Murray
forgetting all the Grand Budapest Hotel,
yeah,
Moonlight Kingdom. I
Royal
love this film.
Tenenbaums.
All the quirky. I love these films, man. I love these films so
Yeah,
much. French
yeah.
Dispatch was the one he just set out. That's
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's the thing, man. I kind of see there is space for things like that, but also at the same time, like I think he's right. You know, we're going to end up with a lot of things like this, and this kind of comes like there's rumors now that basically like they're saying, oh, the Batman's going to be delayed or whatever because Omicron is going nuts in the States. And you know, it still unfortunately does mean like you do need the States big time, right, to kind of launch a film basically, because you know at least 60% of the box office comes from the US pretty much. So
quick check before we get too deep into this. Is your audio definitely coming through your headset? Because you kind of seem to be dipping, going down and up and down and up. Don't know why.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, all right, just checking.
100%. Maybe it's because I'm moving around, and or the I don't know, or maybe the microphone's not going around there properly. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, you know, IPs are great. I guess the thing is nowadays is like the quality of TV is to a level where you can kind of release certain films on TV, and you can kind of say, you know, here you go, here's a film that is, you know, may not have come out kind of mainstream. But yeah, it's interesting. There's going to be even more of a gap in between the people who like watch a film and are like, oh yeah, I really, really love this film, and the kind of films that win at the Oscars, because those films are probably not even going to be released anywhere, because nobody's going to bloody watch them.
It's true. I did hear some interview, I've had a couple actually, where people were saying that what's really suffering now is like you've got the massive stuff, the 100 million plus superhero films and the big franchise action movies. That stuff's still getting made, and then you've got those super cheap stuff that's easier to make now because equipment's cheaper. That's like below 20 million, but it's the stuff in between that, the 50 million, 60 million dollar movies. Those like the quality rom-coms and the quality just quirky that stuff is dying out, so that could be a big problem now.
I think that is, I think you're right. I think that is going to be a big kind of thing, because there's such a massive difference in quality of stuff, man. Like, you know, like last week we went to my in-laws because we dropped my parents off at the airport and stuff, and basically like we all decided, we're going to go and watch this film. So we decided to watch this film. It was Coma or something on Amazon Prime, because
just roll the dice with whatever you see.
I know. Well, the thing is, like, my wife and sister-in-law were like, yeah, let's watch this film, and I was like, okay, sure, let's watch this kind of film, and it was atrociously bad. Like, you can see somebody who was really like trying. Like, you know, like it's made by like a special effects house, so the special effects were actually quite good, right? But the storyline was so bizarre. Basically, the storyline is like everybody you know, who's in a coma ends up, their mind is transported to this weird ass world basically, and they're all in this weird world basically together, where they have to fight monsters and stuff like that. And some of the people there have become like come like head of like their armed forces that are fighting against these monsters. It's got a good idea, but it's just terrible. It's like somebody kind of thought of it, and it was just, you know, just like that. So something like that is probably done for, you know, for you know, very middling kind of money. But at the same time, it's like you know, the good writers are going to go for the big stuff, and the people who are just kind of starting out or just like, oh, you know, I write kind of more, you know, I don't know, art house kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They're going to go for that. They're going to go for that kind of bottom end, and they'll speak a bit in the middle, which is occupied by, I guess, Netflix films and kind of shit on Amazon Prime.
Worrying
that you see. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Do you think they're going to delay Batman? Do you think they're going to?
Like, there's no real reason for it. Well, obviously they're worried about how many people are going to go to the cinemas, but I actually think Batman's going to do fine because I don't think there's going to be any more major. Well, maybe I'm biased from the UK. I don't think we're going to have any more major lockdowns, but some countries still just go in and out of them. But if Spider-Man could do as good as it's done, if there was ever any other property I think could comparably kind of go up to that level, or at least close, it's going to be a Batman film. And people like what they're seeing from this, so I feel like it's okay. I don't really think they need to worry.
Yeah, I think they've, it's if they move it, then people are going to be, there's going to be the rumor mill. There's something wrong with it, So they just release it, man, and they just and that's it. There's no real competition around that time, and then you go further on during the year. That's the time when it starts competition. So that's the time when you want to avoid it there, basically, as much as possible. You know what I mean? So let's flip from Batman to Batgirl. Obviously, there has been a release of the Batgirl costume, which, if you guys haven't seen it, I guess I'll put it up on the face. I think I'll put it up on the Facebook page already, but I'll put it up there again, just so you guys can kind of see it and stuff.
It ain't great.
It's not great. The question is,
it's accurate, the costume at least, to the comic book, but it just looks cheap. It's not even that it's homemade cosplay. It's like it's cosplay that you'd buy mass produced off of some website. It doesn't look cinematic.
The thing is, right, I'm in two minds about it, because basically I understand this is like a first suit, so it's meant to be garbage, right? But then the thing is, at the same time,
it has a molded headpiece though.
Yeah, and I'm kind of concerned about more the direction of the film rather than the costume, because that costume gives me now the idea they're going for complete Batgirl of Burnside, which is what we discussed there before, and we were like, yeah, that's probably the route they're going to go down, which is a social media based story where she's going around like recording herself like fighting crime and stuff on it'll be on Instagram now or TikTok. You'll be recording it on TikTok, being like, oh look at these bad guys, I'm gonna go and fight them, but it's gonna be atrocious.
Then it would have been better if they'd gotten regardless of, I ain't gonna bitch about race or ethnicity or all of that, but if it would have been better if they had a young teenage age Batgirl, not to bring back to the Spider-Man thing, but that comparable age range, because this chick looks too old to really.
Yeah.
Not that she's old, but to be this sort of spunky, filming herself all the time, it just, I think they missed a bit of a trick with that one.
Yeah, because the TikTok kind of stuff is like young teenagers. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it could actually be a more interesting story, because it's kind of like, what the hell are you doing going and fighting these like criminals when you're a teenager? You can get badly hurt, you know what I mean? So I'm more concerned about the general direction that is hinting from the costume rather than the actual costume, because even if it goes down that route of like, okay, we end up getting, say, the Arkham costume afterwards, right, which is the GOAT costume basically for Batgirl. Even if it does go down that route, it looks to me like, okay, they've got Keaton, right, and they're quite on the nose with the fact that they've got all these posters saying Black Canary and Batman and Robin kind of like on a wall and stuff, which is kind of like very like cartoony and stuff. That they're going into that 1989 cartoony world, and that's the thing that kind of concerns me about it. The only thing that I hope not. The only thing that gives me a bit of
No, go on. You can.
The only thing that gives me a little bit of hope is those two guys directed Bad Boys for Life, which I had a lot of fun with, and I was entertained by quite a bit, even though it wasn't the best, Bad Boys film or whatever. It was, I was entertained by it. So if they're doing something in the mold of that, then fine. Because when you're watching that, like, it didn't have the kind of stupid shaky cam close-ups that it did have some, but it didn't have as many as you do in like the Matrix and stuff like that. So maybe we might get something else going on there.
Reason why I don't think it's going to be that cartoony Batman Forever and Batman and Robin style in its direction is because everyone knows that was bad, and Warner Brothers that killed the Batman franchise for a good couple of years, man. And I think Warner Brothers is aware of that. Warner Brothers
just killed the Matrix. Right? It was gone. It was fine for like,
beloved, even with
many years.
2 so-so sequels, it was still beloved, and now it's just.
And then they brought it back to kill it, basically. Right? It kind of reminds me of like, basically like this one. There's this one guy, right? He's I'm not gonna mention his name, but he is in my like professional circle, basically, and apparently he said something that to another colleague that they considered quite racist, basically, and so they reported him to the General Dental Council. Right now, the thing is, this dude is retired. Okay, so what they did was they reinstated him as a member of the General Dental Council, right? Right,
oh
and then they struck him off. And that's basically that is basically the kind of stupidity that like Warner Brothers have done, where they're just like, let's reinstate the Matrix, and then let's kill it, let's kill it dead there. You know what I mean?
Wasting judicial bullshit is that? Like, they got nothing better to do than do this.
And the court case is over 80 grand, so the lawyers were just laughing their heads off, basically, right? It was an offhand comment by this guy to like a colleague on Facebook, basically, which is about what Gaddafi said, many years ago, which is basically like, don't bother kind of fighting Europeans in wars. You'll never win. The best way to do it is breed like rabbits, right? And then there'll be so many of you that you will take over politically, right? So this guy is like, oh yeah, something like, you Muslims basically have this kind of thing that you want to just breed like rabbits and get so many of you that you kind of take over, and it's kind of like, okay, mate, whatever. But then somebody just reported him to say like, but anyway,
did he even turn up for the court case?
No, he didn't. He didn't even bother.
Why would he?
He's basically like. The funny thing is, right, they reinstated him. Now, when you're reinstated, you basically got to pay a registration fee. So they started sending him bills of like £900, saying like, mate, you got to pay your registration fee, right? And he's like, I'm not paying the registration fee. But literally, they registered him again to strike him off. It's hilarious. It is hilarious.
So mad.
It's basically so they could go and show people like, look, we're very serious on something like this. The funny thing is that in the profession, like, the majority are brown people anyway. So it's like, it doesn't really matter you. But yeah, that's Warner Brothers. That's my Warner Brothers kind of allegory, basically. So let's get off that Batgirl train there for the moment, and let's go on to another train. Yes, no, that was episode 2. Episode 3, Boba Fett.
This one. This is so. And this one was the weakest, definitely, of the 3.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it had too many elements in it that didn't feel Star Warsy. Like that young biker gang. They had the older biker gang in like episode 1, which fit. The waistcoats were still a bit of a push, but the speeders, like the hoverbikes, it all fit in the world. But these guys, these little teenagers they look like characters out of Cyberpunk, the game. That were thrown into Star Wars for some reason with their shiny bikes, even though they're saying they have to pay for water and they're not getting paid to do stuff, but they have these amazing, sleek, chromed out bikes.
It's like, can you remember in Phantom Menace when they had the pod races.
Yeah.
And all the pod races, apart from Suburbas, who was like the champion,
Yeah.
all shitty, like destroyed by the sand, everything, right? And it's like these are like, how is the sand
straight
not just
of
like
straight out of the factory? These were like brand new, glistening. Yeah, they should have just been thrown together, smoking, sparking, just dusty. Nah.
The way that I think the you know, I would imagine gangs on Tatooine would be like, I don't know if you remember a film called Waterworld. Where horrendous film Waterworld, where they had the smokers, right, and they had these guys who still had access to like diesel, basically, right? So they basically had like these massive craft that, you know, they could kind of go different. There's like speedboats and shit like that, basically, that they had, and they were like literally like salvaged crap, like junk together to kind of make these things. And that's exactly how I'd imagine it was.
Mad Max as well, where those mashed up, thrown together cars that they have. Like, that's what it kind of should have been like. But
I think the problem with this show is part advertising and then also kind of direction. I think maybe it will tie up in the end. A lot of the stuff may kind of tie themselves up and things like that. But the way that this was advertised, and there's a running joke on the DC forums, right, which is where the Marvel versus DC stuff comes in, right? That basically, like almost every Marvel film is advertised as The Godfather, right? Have you seen like almost every bloody film that comes out is like, no, seriously, you know, when what's it called came out, when Captain Marvel came out, and they're like, this is like The Godfather 2 of the series. And then they were talking about what's it called, Civil War was like has drama like The Godfather and stuff like that. Obviously, these aren't Marvel releasing these things, but these are from things like Collider and
those they always just fall back into using the same. You know what I mean?
They're using the same tropes all the time. So there's a joke in the in the DC world, basically, like everything in Marvel is advertised as The Godfather, and this kind of thing actually from film. The series makers was advertised as like a Godfather style kind of thing, and I think that's the problem.
Yeah, because we're not getting any of that sort of drama, man. In that sort of stuff, that stuff with the Hutts is almost the least the storyline that they're putting the least effort in. To be honest, they seem to be focused more on the whole other flashbacks that he keeps having.
And I think that will probably be the most obviously they have to sanitize it for children and stuff, but that would be the most interesting because they're basically slugs on a platform, right? So how are they so intimidating to people that they command this level of like respect? Because he's like, the Hutts basically ruled out of fear. Okay, so we see a bit in Return of the Jedi and stuff where, you know, they've chopped this guy down to the Rancor and all this kind of stuff, right? But what other stuff do they do that elicits that level of fear amongst everybody?
It would be good to see a Hutt pissed off and to wreck a room.
Yeah, to see like what they do, like how they do it, like, you know, because kind of like they do this in other kind of films where it's like, okay, the person themselves might not be that strong, but they've got some next level tech that is like, you know, that would decimate like, you know, a population or whatever. And I'm just wondering, there must be something that the Hutts kind of have. They did that in the games where they've got like the Hutt cartel and stuff like that, basically. And you know, a lot of it is basically because they've got a lot of like scientists and their tech is like next level, and they have torture rooms and all this kind of stuff. And it's kind of like he's like, I'm going to command by respect, which is fine. But then you also have to show this is the way they used to command, and I'm going to command a bit differently.
Yeah, I want to see like a Kingpin thing where he's smart, or they're smart, where they can, you know, they've got money, they've got resources, they can manipulate people. But when push comes to shove, you also see why Kingpin is also feared. That when he's pissed, he just, he goes, I want to see something in the scene where this Hutt just grabs someone and crushes their head or something, like just to show that there is some other thing that it was built upon that they managed to build this empire.
That's perfect. That is absolutely perfect, because basically then it would be like, okay, I don't do most of the dirty work, but
Yes.
if the shit hits the fan, I
want to see him get pissed and wreck a room full of people. Like, even if the
That's
doors
the
have to shut and you just hear screams and it opens and he's just kind of sliding back to his platform and everyone's just dead around him. Like, there's something just to show that there's some other thing going on there.
And this is the problem that I have generally with Boba right now, because the direction is odd, because it's like, okay, dude keeps taking his helmet off all the time, right? Yeah. Okay, so it's like, and he talks too much. He talks way too freaking much, right? So it's like, you're not intimidating, right? He goes to people and he goes, "Oh, you're gonna pay us money?" I'll be like, "Piss off, dude. Who the hell are you? We're gonna pay you money. You basically got a sniper who's like a good fighter, and okay, fine. You know, why should we pay you anything?" He's got to show them, like, this is the reason why I'm the dude that you got to pay money to. And she even says to him, what's her name? Fennec? Fennec?
Yeah, I was going to go by his real name. Was it Ming Hua or something?
Yeah.
She commands more respect.
Yeah.
To be honest, in this show.
She basically even said to him in like episode 1, sometimes it's better to command out of fear than, respect. So one of the things that a lot of people are talking about online and kind of, I don't know, kind of different viewpoints on is the Rancor, right? And the Rancor riding. What's your thought on that? Does that, are you okay with that? Or we kind of, I don't know.
It's just too late to care now, man. It's just, hey, I guess it's supposed to be. In Star Wars, that's interesting. This is another Robert Rodriguez one, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
I've noticed that when he does his thing, those are the ones I don't like as much. Because the very first one as well, which I didn't hate, but I was a little unsure going into it. This has a bit distinctive style, which is a bit too contemporary, especially with the way he directs actors and all of that. It just doesn't, for me, fit, like dialogue wise, and just the way his sensibilities. They don't really work for me in Star Wars. So,
and I kind of think to myself, okay, dude, why didn't you just make Boba Desperado?
Yeah, but I guess they feel like they're doing that with the Mandalorian, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. It's too, I don't know, it's too close kind of thing. The thing, even the thing with the Sand People, it makes sense, but it makes no. Sorry, with Tusken Raiders,
they just killed him off. They just killed him off screen. He just comes home and everything's burnt. What? They made me give a shit about these people, and then they just.
Now it makes no sense, because the whole point is, everybody knows any strategy game you ever play, it's like, okay, you make friends with these people. Now these people are going to come and help you later on. You make friends with these other lot. You make a deal with these other lot. And now suddenly he does command respect, because he's got the Tusken Raiders on this side that support him. He's got these other guys. He's got the more, what do they call them? The pig things, Gamorreans or something. Not Gamorreans.
Yeah.
Something like that. And basically those that race is supporting him there, and he basically goes around and does different things to help different people, and it's like, right, okay, now he commands respect, because he's in effect done something that they thought was bloody impossible, which was the Tusken Raiders going against that train, which looked impossible to do, but they did it. And then they introduced the bloody moped gang, which is like, then you think, okay, fine, that's okay, but at the same time, it's like there's no then overall string to the series.
Yeah, so. And even the spear thing, which he had his little lizard up the nose trip to find the word and carve himself, and then at the end, he just threw it on the fire with the rest of the Tusken. Like, what? This weapon I thought was going to come back later on in the series. He was going to pull out from a plank of at the floor, and no, nothing. Like Kratos in God of War 4, he just takes the knives out of the blaze of chaos. Oh man, come on now! If you know,
when literally his everything of his is destroyed.
Yeah,
the only thing remains is that thing.
Yeah,
and he's like, right, I'm gonna go and wreck.
Go back to
but no, that thread is just been destroyed. It's so bizarre. And obviously they've set up the thing with those guys who I can't remember what their species was. Who was running the trains? Obviously, they're
the fish people. I call them fish.
Fish people, yeah. Who shouldn't be on a desert planet in the bloody first place because they blatantly look like they require a lot of water.
Yeah.
So yeah, they look like they're the ones the ones who are gonna wreck stuff up and stuff like that. But I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to see the next one and then see whether it kind of picks up, because this really dipped it down big time.
Yeah, it's weird. That one episode can make me suddenly get worried for a whole series, because I was fine with it after the first two. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm liking where this is going. But this one has suddenly just made me feel like, oh, I'm seeing the holes now. I'm seeing the strings behind the curtain, the wizard.
I'm just hoping. I don't know if there's a different director or what who's in there, but in the next ones. But yeah, they need to change the direction a little bit. Maybe because they're concentrating so much on the other stuff, the Bo-Katan and the Ahsoka ones and Obi-Wan Kenobi and stuff. They're just like giving this to second tier, group, because it is coming out in December, January, which is the dump period for stuff at the end of the day. So, maybe they're just like, okay, tide us over until we start to get our other stuff coming out.
I was actually baffled why Robert Rodriguez was also like an executive producer on the show. Like, when did he worm his way into the Star Wars universe? So
yeah,
maybe
Spy Kids 3 should have been the end of his. End of his career.
Yeah, most definitely. But somehow, lava. What was that? Shark
Boy and Lava Girl. Yeah. That's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I said when I saw those moped kids. I was like, Shark Boy's grown up now. He's got his own crew, and he's like marauding through Star Wars, man. So yeah, a very odd episode, man. But I don't know. Let's see whether it picks up there or not, man. Let's see whether it picks up there or not.
Speaking of TV, you saw the first episode of Superman Lois. How was it? I didn't see it. So no.
Yeah. So I will not spoil it, but we were kind of worried maybe quality's gone down, or maybe worried a little bit about, are they going to maintain that? They've maintained it. Number one, that's the main thing. The quality is still there. Also, everybody's very worried about the suit, right? Because they were showing pictures of him in the new suit with Amy Johnson, who used to be the Pink Ranger, who now is a director of stuff. Okay. She directed the first episode, Superman and Lois, season 2. And they showed pictures of him with her, and he looked like skinny, basically, and like the suit was hanging off him and stuff. And everybody's like, what the hell, man? This is horrendous. But trust me, the suit looks badass, man, in the thing. The great thing that I always think about this Superman is always the criticism has been throughout any Superman there is that he's been a very localized hero. For somebody who has that much power, he's been very localized. But all throughout season 1, he's kind of been a worldwide kind of protector kind of thing. And then in this one as well, there is a scene in this which is epic, where he's basically like shows how much of a worldwide hero he actually is, and saves a group of people that you would actually think maybe we're told by everybody, the government, media, that these are our enemies.
Saves the Taliban from a rock slide. Wow.
Yeah. I don't think they go that far. I don't think they go that far. But somebody else. And they saved them, and then obviously these people. It's quite funny because these people recognize Superman, even though they maybe shouldn't. I don't know how to say it without spoiling it, but basically they shouldn't know they shouldn't know who Superman is. But yeah, they recognize Superman, so that's quite cool. There's a lot of the good thing is that there's all that thing about, he's Clark Kent and he's got that Clark Kent role, but also he is Superman at the same time as well, and that kind of thing that is like, Lois takes no shit from him whatsoever, even though he is bloody Superman, right? She literally takes no shit from him, and he is like, he basically like, takes her advice and a lot of stuff. There's a lot more of that teenage boy kind of thing stuff going on in this there as well, where it's kind of, they're bringing girlfriends in and all this kind of stuff, and it's like the awkwardness of what's going on, and the dad talks and things like that, where I'm just sitting there thinking, oh God, how long is it going to be until I have to do that shit, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, just like that kind of stuff, and then the ending, which I won't say anything about, but the ending is like, holy shizzle, man. We now know who the new big baddie is going to be for this season. And if you're a Superman fan, then damn, you're going to absolutely love it. So, it's good. The first episode keeps that same kind of thing. It's kind of like sometimes you look at it and you think, how does somebody who used to be, no disparaging whatsoever, but literally used to be the Pink Ranger in Power Rangers, how do they have the knowledge to be like, okay, I want it shot like this, I want it to look like that, I want him to come in from this zone, I want him to, all these kind of little things.
They're on sets, isn't it? They're on, regardless of what you may think of what Power Rangers was, it's still a set. They still have to frame shots, and you still know how to, organize and direct a crew and all those little skills there. Even though people are dressed up in spandex and fighting mud people, it's still fundamentally the same thing. So, and I presume she's been off doing other things, training over these decades that she's been out of the public eye. So,
well, she did some Smallville episodes, and she's done like some Legends of Tomorrow and stuff like that. And I guess they've kind of said, look, here's the gig. Do you want to do it? This is the way it is, and it's good, man. It's a bloody good show. And this is the thing, man. There's we will come up with, talk about this in one of the next topics. But there's some weird splits going on in the DC fandom there now. But this is something I think that everybody, if you're a DC fan, not a DC fan, you can get behind this, man, because it's a bloody good show, and the quality is high throughout the entire thing. So it's I can even see there's certain threads that they're going to put in which are going to be kind of interesting, but also like awkward and stuff like that. Like basically, we saw at the end of the previous season that John Henry Irons' daughter turned up.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, Lois is my mom, and she's not really. But obviously, it's very difficult for her to kind of not think of it like that. And it's an odd situation that's going on there. But yeah, man, Superman fans like basically just like creaming themselves at the ending. And just very good, very, very good kind of thing to watch there as well. So tonally works well. Cinematography is decent. Just overall, just like the whole thing, man. So
yeah, I'm gonna definitely jump on that either tonight.
Jump on it, jump on it and see it. Well, that's the thing, man. So one thing I didn't forget about, but I actually did get to see. But Ed's I think has seen them. Is Peacemaker. Episode 1, 2, and 3.
Yep, the first 3 episodes. I'm gonna have to try and get them all together in my head because rather than just review one episode, you got to do all 3. But what I'm gonna say is, going into this, I was worried. I saw the trailers and I was thinking I didn't really like what I saw. It just looked cheap, and I thought it was gonna be kind of cringy. And I was hoping that the James Gunn dialogue and his writing was gonna be what carries this and makes it, still a fun watch. And I have to say, it was, for me, it really was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And
so you had a few worries about this, right?
Because it just didn't look
talking about
great in the trailers. It just didn't look great to me. But it is crazy. and it is a grown-up show. This ain't something to watch for the family.
Oh yeah. So
there's violence, there's sex, there's crazy language. Even the stuff we shitting on Justice League members, that works. And when we were reading the quotes, and it was like, oh my god, what is this? Nah, it works. It works.
Okay,
in the context of the show, it definitely works. And Cena's so much better as Peacemaker.
Is he better in this than he was in the film?
Way better. It's like he's found the groove of the show. Like he can take his time with it. Because he only really had a few bits of lines here and there in the film. But with this, because you really get into him, get to know his dad, his family, and why he is how he is, and he's kind of starting to reevaluate his morality and what he does, the way he was living, looking for trying to achieve peace, no matter how many men, women, and children he has to kill to achieve it. He's starting to realize that I don't know whether that.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a bizarre character as well, man. Such an absolutely bizarre character. It's so funny because actually, like the new Suicide Squad, basically has got the new graphic novel has got Peacemaker in it, and obviously they're trying to put that in there to get that in the minds of DC fans before that, because he's a very kind of fringe character, Peacemaker. He's not like a big major kind of player in it. So
because his character is evolving to be slightly different than how he was in the films, they've kind of brought in this other character who's like his best friend in this town that he grew up in, called
the Vigilante.
Yeah. And he kind of is like how he was before. And it's just hilarious. Like when they're talking about, he's trying to give him advice about, his decisions and the things he's done. And he's like, do you think I like having to find someone who's selling drugs to kids and having to kill them? Finding someone who's, kidnapped an old woman, or someone who sprayed graffiti on the wall? Do you think I enjoy killing these people? You think, holy shit, this guy's literally a maniac, psycho killer.
Basically.
But and he's a loser at the same time. So, and even the dynamic of the crew, the Amanda Waller's group that carried over from the film, great. They definitely all bounce off each other really well. I really enjoyed the show, man. I
definitely got to check it out, man. I just kind of just didn't have time really to go watch it, but I just thought I'll see what Ed says about it and kind of go from there. There's a weird thing about that Vigilante actor, wasn't there? Like halfway through the filming, something happened. There's some controversy with that actor, so they switched to a different actor halfway through the season, and they've kind of and it's a different Vigilante actor throughout the rest of the season. And I don't know whether they recut the stuff at the start so it looks like it's the new guy, or they're doing it as some weird ass joke. They're kind of like he changes the actor like
here's the type of show
that
they could probably do that in. You could almost get away with it because he does keep his mask on for so much of it. There's only like one part where you see his face, where there may be, they could easily just do that. It's literally one scene, so they could just reshoot that easily. So who knows? But, and even the production value of it, like, obviously, it isn't that consistent with. It doesn't have the sort of budget that maybe the Marvel shows have on Disney Plus. But for what it is and where it's set, it's actually fine. I actually still.
So it was okay, because that was one of the things that we were worried about.
It's still visibly not as slick, because it does start off like literally at the very beginning of the first episode. It says previously on Suicide Squad, and it kind of does it like it's the events of Suicide Squad are like a TV show that it's continuing from. So you actually it does recap things that happened at the end of that film. So if you haven't seen Suicide Squad, the most recent one, and you want to watch this, then you're gonna have to. Well, it's best to watch that to not have it spoiled. But you do suddenly see the switch in quality from that footage to this. But it's not that jarring. Like I said, it fits where it is. It's like a small town for the most part. And it just
I think because he's meant to be look like an idiot, basically, right? So he's meant to look like a complete moron. So it's kind of like it fits that there's this guy wearing this stupidly white coloured outfit.
And they point that out many times. And I didn't know the helmet does shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say what, but the helmets, yeah, it does shit. What else? Oh, yeah, I won't get into who the antagonists of this series are because it's a bit of a mystery up until the very end. But
Mhm.
what I'm gonna say is, what the hell? Basically, it's almost as if James Gunn's been a traitor to Marvel in that he kind of knew where they were going with their Secret Wars, Secret Invasion thing, and
Okay.
found a goofy way to fit it into this, like a goofier version of it. So instead of having these infiltrating aliens that we have, with on the Marvel side that they kind of wanted to get into, they've got this other thing. You see it, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, really?"
What the
And
hell?
I don't know if it's
Okay.
consistent. Like, there's a comic book of these things. You're gonna
Yeah,
have to tell me
that's
when
a.
you watch it, but
I have no idea because it's not something that I've really kind of
yeah,
read
yeah.
that much, man. So yeah, I'll have to I'll have to check it out and then see what's going on with it, man. So is this so this is James Gunn like at his like
Writing and directing.
craziest basically,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, he's directing all of those first three, directed and wrote. So it's his style all the way.
His style basically, yeah. So so yeah, man.
The eagerly is the star.
Eagerly. Oh
Eagerly.
yeah, because that's the thing that we're looking at as well. Is
It's not that he
eagerly is the
necessarily
thing that.
does a lot, but just the fact that you have this eagle, which is convincing. Like we've come a long way, man, in being able to have animals, computer generated creatures on screen that just blend in
Yeah.
perfectly. That isn't jarring at all. Yeah, he's great.
Okay. Yeah, because you literally can't have a bald eagle. It's like it's a predator. You know,
Yeah,
you can't just
yeah.
have it like sitting there like chilling and stuff, man. It's kind of a bit crazy. So so we'll keep with DC and a little bit there now. Your favorite Batman is
Oh
now
God.
having a new comic book made, and it's basically like so Jeff Johns pretty much he finished the Three Jokers and then did nothing, right? And everybody's like, what's his new project? You know, is he doing the Green Lantern TV show? All this kind of stuff there, right? But last night, they released the thing to say what his new project is, and his new project is Thomas Wayne Flashpoint Batman, and it's called Flashpoint
Woo!
Batman Beyond, right? So it's basically is the story of Thomas Wayne at Flashpoint, what happens afterwards, all of his kind of the ways that his stories are going, with the Martha Wayne Joker, and so it's crazy
Finally, why
stories,
did it
man.
take so
So
long? Why did it take so long?
I don't know, man. There's just I don't know. I don't know. But the thing that is interesting with things like this is that if you then establish this character as like a main thing in people's minds, then maybe you could potentially think, okay, let's go and make this the main Batman. Well, I'd be more than happy with that if they
More than
went with
happy.
that and they said, okay, here's the Flash, here we go. The basically we got Thomas Wayne Batman, and you can even have Keaton as that. I don't even give a shit. Like put Keaton as that, whatever, right? But then say, okay, fine. Now Thomas Wayne Batman is Batman, and now he's Batman. That's fine, man. Just don't like basically have an old ass Bruce Wayne past his time, like doing things like that, because that kind of is annoying as hell, man. So yeah, that's going to be a very interesting fight.
Do we know when this begins?
Well, it's Jeff Johns, right? So last time he said when he was playing the Three Jokers that he would complete it within 18 months, and 4 years later
Oh man.
he completed the thing. So it was the same like with Dark
Frank,
Side War, right? The Dark Side War took bloody forever for them to bloody finish there as well. So yeah,
Frank Miller, Jim Lee thing took forever as well, years to make.
it's gonna take them. They'll release some parts, but then it'll be like, okay, firstly here's one part, and the next one will come out a month later. Then it'll start to come out 6 weeks later, and it'll be like forever until it
You
actually
wonder
comes
why
out. So
Western comic books are dying, man. Can't even put them
Exactly.
out on time. Well, the Japanese are just churning them out week at a time.
Yeah,
They're
just
ruling the earth.
that is the thing, man. That is I kind of got my love back for comic books because I just managed to get so many free over the past the past year or so. So yeah, just kind of like starting to read those things there again. Um, Unfortunately, there's not a great deal of Marvel news there today, so we're gonna finish up on some DC news, right? Of our kind of before we do that, we did actually get we got a message from a listener, right? Basically who's talking about projectors and stuff. Joseph Bustamante, right?
Bustamante. Know him
Yeah,
well.
so he was like, oh, I'm catching up with last year's podcast and reached the one where it was talked about he's able to watch stuff on his projector all day. Did I say that? I think I must have. Without eye strain. I also use a projector and have noticed the same effect. And it turns out because indirect light is easy on the eyes, the direct light beats straight on your retina from a TV. And he's given like an explanation and stuff. He's like, anyway, good to find your podcast again since it stopped updating on my podcast app. Had to search your podcast again and re-subscribe. So a lot of people, it seems, are doing that actually because the numbers are creeping up there again. They're kind of finding the cast there again. But yeah, thanks Joseph for that information, man. Because I always just find it easier to watch on the on projector and stuff, man. So I had to read that article, which is quite technical, but it was also interesting there as well, man. So yeah, man, keep listening and
I'm definitely looking forward to, because it's been happening for months now, but still trying to move. But the place I'm going, hopefully, I'm just looking forward to having a space where I can dig out my projector again and actually have room to set it up and keep it up. So I just don't have room now. Every time I have to pull it out, I have to rearrange shit around and redecorate everything.
Oh man,
it just can't be.
You said you were moving like months ago.
Yeah, this negotiation with these people and these mad. Oh,
it's just long.
Headache.
It's just long. So dude, we'll finish up there today with the with the split DC fandom, right? And unfortunately, man, it's like sometimes I kind of look and I despair, man. It's basically like you've literally got two groups of people there now, right? And you know what? I'm just gonna say it. I used to be a massive Snyder fan. I still am, to be honest. I still like his movies and stuff like that. But some of the stuff, and I'm not gonna say everybody, right? I'm not gonna say the people who tried so hard to release the Snyder Cut stuff. But some of the stuff that some people are saying on these forums and things is batshit crazy, man. It's like literally batshit crazy.
It's the world we live in, man. People just want to argue. People want to pick a side and then dig their heels in, no matter how ridiculous the argument is. They just don't want to admit they're wrong.
Just people saying like, oh, don't watch any more decent content. Make sure that don't watch the Batman. Boycott the Batman. There's all this stuff about how like you literally shouldn't watch anything and should just restore the Snyder Cut and stuff like that. The interesting thing that I always kind of find about this is, okay, fine. I've watched so many videos of people have analyzed, the Snyder movies and stuff like that, and the cinematography and the themes and all the kind of stuff there. And okay, yeah, it's fine, it's good, man. There's some deep stuff in there. There's some shallow stuff in there. There's some good cinematography, whatever. One of the things I always struggle with is when somebody says to me, and I'm not proclaiming myself to be some kind of expert PhD in comic book movies or comic books or whatever.
Don't say that. Your opinion is as valid as anybody's.
But I do read a few comic books, right? And when one thing I've never found, literally never found, is somebody to make comprehensive videos to say, right, this is what Snyder was going from. And he was going from, say, this version of Batman came from Batman 273 from 1992, and he did this kind of thing, and this is basically where it's come from, blah blah blah. What we've got there now is you've got a movement of people who are starting to say, instead of I really like the Snyder movies and I like the direction that they were going, instead it's I really like the direction of the Snyder movies because they're comic book accurate, right? And I have a real problem with that, right? I have a huge problem with that because they're not, right, in almost entirety, right? In terms of Superman, in terms of Batman, in terms of Wonder Woman, in terms of literally like every sphere of things that I see there. Wonder Woman is probably the most comic book accurate that they've had in there, right? But in terms of the the clone of Zod, which became their version of Doomsday and stuff. None of that is comic book accurate. I've started doing this game now where I go on forums where it's basically just like people put up stuff and say, oh, people didn't understand the Snyder movies because they don't read comic books. And I'm like, dude, show me your collection and tell me exactly what book you're talking about that you're saying that this movie has come from. Because if you do, then I'll shut up and I'll say, you know what, this guy knows more than me. He knows exactly his comic books, and Snyder knows it, and he's copying from this thing and blah blah, right?
So maybe it's not, to play devil's advocate, maybe it's not necessarily the story as a whole that's supposed to be comic accurate. Maybe saying the interpretation of some of the characters, even though you're right, Superman was nothing like how Snyder does it, but I guess I can see elements of Frank Miller's Batman in.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. But then, yeah, I mean, I guess so. But then, the Frank Miller Batman there is a grizzled 60-year-old.
He was an old
dude, right? And he basically, the reason why he fights in that suit is first because he's fighting Superman. He's going to get battered, right? But at the same time, he's an old dude and he can't fight anymore, right? So that's the point why he rides a horse and he's got guns and stuff like that. That is the reason why. This guy is Ben Affleck's not much older than me. And if he can't move, I guess that's a bit of a problem, right? But
they didn't make it. They didn't make him fucked up enough. Maybe they should have gone like 10 years older. Maybe the guy who played his dad in the flashback of the parents getting killed probably could have done a better job as being Batman with some great highlights.
Yeah, just like totally like grizzled and kind of like then that's fine. But this kind of weird movement that kind of says, okay, you don't know the comic books if you don't support Snyder's films. It just, to me, is just bizarre, right? It's absolutely bizarre because you cannot, you can't. It's like okay, fine, then Aquaman. What facets of Aquaman are like the comic books? Because I want to see exactly which one, because there's none of them, right? Cyborg, maybe tiny amount, but not much.
Yes.
And like Silas Stone, maybe a little bit is a fringe character. You know what I mean? I mean, Aquaman is absolute nutcase in the comic books, man. He is basically like overpowered to like crazy, pretty much. So yeah, and I don't know, this kind of stuff, when people come out with stuff like this, it puts me off the movies more, because I can watch the the Man of Steel and BVS, the extended edition and stuff like that, and be like, okay, yeah, I understand where they're going here. I understand the themes. I love the music, all that kind of stuff. I like cinematography. I can understand that. It's just when people say, okay, if you don't understand this, it's because you don't read comic books. At that point, it's like, mate, you've really lost me, because there's no way that you're going to say to somebody that this is anything like the comic books. And if it is, tell me what one it is.
It blatantly sounds like they're not comic book readers. They're just the movie watchers that like the characters, and they're just trying to hide behind that as a justification.
Yeah. It's like, well, what comic book is it? What comic book is it? I want to know the comic book where Batman's branded people, right? So tell me which one that is from.
Yeah.
You know, there isn't one. You know, or you know, of course, there's like, you know, there are certain things where, like you're saying with Frank Miller, where he's on the side of the building and there's lightning there and stuff like that. Okay, yes, but you know, come on now, this is few and far between. But anyway, I could go on a rant on that forever. But yeah, that is pretty much it, man. So, guys, bit of a shorter one there today, mainly because of just lack of news and stuff like that, and also because I've been lazy and not seen Peacemaker, and I didn't I didn't inform Eds about Superman and Lois. So next week we will review those there as well, with the new Boba Fett there as well, and a Moon Knight trailer, which is I think is going to be really good. I've got big hopes for that there as well. And any more new DC Marvel news, we'll be covering that there as well. Yeah, if you guys have any questions or have comments about the show, you can email us on dcpsmarvelpod@gmail.com, and you can also find us on the Facebook page DCPS Marvel Podcast. If you want to find Eds, you can find him on the movie show there.
Talking at the movies. Go check it out on all podcasting platforms and on Voltron Network, the video versions of this and that show. And yeah, let us know. I want to know what you guys think of Peacemaker. Give us feedback. You feeling it? You're not liking it? You liking this version of the character more than what you saw of him in the film? Reach out.
Yeah, there is a bit of a discussion going on about that on our Facebook page, but I've kind of just not really read it because I didn't want to know if there were spoilers and stuff in it. I think a lot of it is criticism on the intro, which I haven't even seen.
There's a dance routine in the intro,
or something like
it's literally the intro is a little dance routine where he's just dancing around. All the cast is dancing all around. Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
That's a red rag to a ball to a Snyder fan. That is really so guys, let us know about that there as well. And do you think we're being a bit too harsh on Boba Fett there as well, man? Does the old man need a break? Until then, guys, we'll see you again next time.
Later.